Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
This is Stephen, vocalist from Renegade Cartel. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Stephen of Renegade Cartel. Renegade Cartel is set to release their debut album, Dear World, October 31st, Halloween night. And happy Halloween to all you ghouls and goblins out there. Make sure Mom and Dad take you out and get your candy. And if your adult's going to go out there and have some fun, be respectful. You know, have some common sense, get somebody to drive for you, all that good stuff. So, anyway, back to Mr. Stephen and Renegade Cartel. So, anyway, this album's going to be coming out Halloween night, and Renegade Cartel also has released their official live video for Break Your Chains, shot by Michael Cox. Break Your Chains is the debut single off their new album. So, we're going to be talking about all this. So, Stephen, man, I guess you guys are really excited about this, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we're super stoked about releasing this. We had an EP released last year in May, and we've been holding on to some of these songs for a while, and it's finally good to have everything coming together and to be released, and finally to have everybody be able to listen to it. It's gonna be pretty great.
Stephen, how's it been working with Tag Publicity so far for you guys?
Tag has been doing an amazing job. It seems like every day we wake up and there's a new article or a new post where people are just kind of engaged in what we're doing. Finally seeing that the video is going up, and the numbers have been doing great for us. Certainly better than what we've had in the past. So they've been doing an awesome job, and a lot of the interviews people are super stoked to read about. They want to see the insider scoop on certain songs that they've been hearing live for a while, or I always usually give them witty banter, try to give them some humor in my interviews. So it's always a good little trip checking out those pieces they're putting together for us.
Dear World is Renegade Cartel's debut album. How does it feel to be able to put out a full-length album today, especially since so much has changed in the music world for bands now, and everything's so crazy right now for bands putting out music?
Yeah, so that was one of our biggest problems is, given an overload of songs, sometimes it can overwhelm the listener. We knew we wanted to produce a full-length album, especially after releasing our EP last year. We wanted to get more songs out there, and we had a backlog of maybe 12 or 13 songs that we had, previously unreleased, but we played live forever. So we decided we're going to put it all out there. We're going to have an album with all the tracks. We'll do social media pushes. We'll do single pushes. We'll do videos for those songs, and try to keep the social media presence, flowing, because for a long time we would get questions like, is this song on the CD? And then we'd have to tell them, no, unfortunately, we're just playing this new. So instead of having, have them hold on to the future, we're going to put everything out there. And then when somebody picks one of the tunes that they've never heard before, or we play a different set live, at least it's out there for them to go and put it on their favorite, streaming service. They can start listening right away. And we'll do some promotional stuff, as time goes, because everything right now is social media. So, it almost need a video, and that song is pretty true. Video killed the radio star, and we're pretty much living that through YouTube and Facebook, and we were a little wary because, everyone wants a new song every 2 months. It's like a Beatles turnaround. But in a sense, we've got music that people haven't listened to, and when we play it live, they go, oh, I've never heard that song, and it's been out for a year. So it's a big, exciting endeavor, a big, expensive endeavor, but we're super stoked to have finally at least a full-length album, and that makes up 21 tracks total for us. That's out in the public right now. If you hear something you like when it's live, or a video that you catch on Facebook of us doing live, you're immediately able to go get it. And of course, we already got 2 or 3 or more in the wing, so we're not concerned about running out of tunes as time goes. So if it's a necessity, we'll release a new single. But right now, everything we've had for the past few years is coming out, and we're so excited that it's finally recorded and done.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's like everybody wants a new song every other week, and I miss the old days of just having to go to the store, and I've said this over the years many, many times, of going just to the store, finding out when your band's going to be putting something out. The day and age that we live in right now, man, it kind of takes that mystique away from the bands. I mean, before, because you had to wait, you had to actually go out and get off your ass and go find out about the bands instead of, it's at your fingertips now. You had to go to your favorite bookstore or grocery store or something like that, or wait for MTV. When MTV was good, they would talk about a lot of stuff. But nowadays, it's like they're so bored with stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks. And these new bands, and even the older bands, you've got to be on your toes. You have to be pushing and keep on doing stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like I said, it's a constant necessity. If you let days go by without reminding them that you're out there, they immediately lose interest. And in a sense, with the instant information that we get nowadays, it does kind of take, like you said, that mystique, that a little bit of an anxious feeling that your band's going to come out with something new. And nowadays it's like, well, if they didn't put out anything new, I don't have to wait for it. There's another band that I could just jump onto.
Yep.
And it's a big, crazy push for everything.
So this album consists of older songs and newer songs. What was the decision to add the older songs to this album instead of just creating new ones?
So the story of these songs, it's a little bit of a history story for Renegade Cartel. Renegade Cartel started 5 years ago. I joined the band with Vic, the guitar player, and 2 of his friends. They were kind of rolling with some of these tunes, and they needed a vocalist. So I sent them a couple demos of my vocals, went to the tryouts. Everything went great. And then it seemed that the bass player and the drummer kind of were afraid that they were kind of over their heads, and they didn't want to take on another task. So we went through, over the past 5 years, we've gone through 4 different drummers, 3 different bass players, 2 different rhythm guitar players, and we're finally settled on a 3-piece. I picked up the rhythm guitar eventually, and then when we needed a bass player, I took bass over. So some of these songs we've been dying to release since the conception of this band. If we had had a steady lineup, I think we would have released some of them a whole lot earlier. None of them were ever throwaway tunes that we didn't figure, oh, well, this song sucks, let's put it in our playlist, just to have a bolstered amount. We've always kind of wanted to include them. So I can give you a fun little fact. Break Your Chains, in almost its entirety, I'd say about 80% of it, was written the first time we jammed together. A lot of the lyrics are the same. My first time going in there, same melodies, same lyrics, and we've been dying to release that song for 5 years. And finally on October 14th made 5 years up, so we did it just shy of 5 years. We were finally able to get that monster piece right out to the people. And we sit back and go, holy cow, I can't believe that it took us 5 years to do this. But, over those 5 years, we developed a better lineup, we developed better playing. Everything got improved. So from the original demos to the song you're hearing now in the music video, everything has improved over 100%. So we're really glad that we were able to refine it and polish it and make it great, because it's been an important song to us for that long, so that we kept it. And not only that, but our first few handful of songs were just these like really pumping rock tunes that, as time went on, we edged out a little bit, created some more bluesier stuff, a little more grungy stuff. But some of these songs you're hearing on the record are some of our earliest, most aggressive push. I mean, there are some vocal screams on the earlier tracks that I used to do back in the day, but now as a better singer, it's enhanced. So, I mean, like I said, the time definitely, they definitely aged and improved like a fine wine on some of these songs. So we've always had the intent of putting them out. We never try to write a throwaway song. So that's kind of our goal.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making the new album, Dear World, if anything? Was there anything you wanted to add differently to this album that didn't get added from the previous EP possibly that came out?
So the EP and the album were both self-produced. Vic went to school here in Boston for audio engineering. Granted, he went to school for, some of the original analog systems. So for him, doing digital is a newer endeavor, but he's been doing really well with it. So the only thing that had changed was the consistency of the players. Last time we put the record out, we had two of my friends on it, and I love those guys to death. But sometimes you don't bring your friends into your band because it can wreak havoc. So this time around, we were able to get the bass tracks, drums and bass guitar at least steady at a really amazing studio that we have close by here that Vic's worked with a lot. So those tracks itself were a big improvement, and I think that's definitely what pushed us most. The fact that this is Vic's third record, mixing himself and all that, is just every bit of it is a more refined bit of the process. So we hope it sounds, for us it sounds better than the EP. We hope our listeners to agree with that too.
So doing it yourself versus having a producer come in and record everything, do you guys like it this way? Or do you want to actually go in and work with a producer? Or do you just want to do it yourself and put it out there and be done with it?
Yeah, we have no problem doing it ourselves. I know it sounds a little egotistical, but I think a producer, would have his input, and that's always beneficial for an outside party to have that kind of nudge here and there. But it is how we want it to sound. So, albeit if someone turns around and says, well, this sucks, at least we're proud of it, It's something that we do out of the passion of our heart, and we feel like a producer wouldn't, maybe they would get on board with everything we're going for, but, that's kind of just our blood and our passion. So we opted not to have anybody produce, and we'll see.
Writing the new songs, did it push you out of your comfort zone than what you're used to, possibly?
Some of these newest tunes on this record, Renegade Cartel started off to be as aggressive and kind of heavy as possible. We weren't trying to get into the metal realm. Like we know nowadays, metal is much heavier. We get put on a metal bill, and we're like the classic rock guys at that point. So. But yet, if we play like a toned down show, we're heavy. So it's a good balance of hard rock, I think. And some of these songs on the upcoming record have a little more grunge to it, have a little more blues, have a little more groove. So to be able to go through that and utilize my voice in different ways, it definitely is a total departure from what we first added. But I've always practiced vocals in different manners. As a vocalist, I've done different projects over the years that have had me use that. So I guess in the Renegade Cartel sense, it's definitely a departure and a push in a different direction for me. And then, of course, bass playing. I picked up bass for the band about 2 years ago, and this record has allowed me to sit back and be a bass player and focus on those parts and improve my skills in that sense as well. So I've definitely done a lot of learning this record.
Do you prefer to be a vocalist, or do you like the bass?
I love playing music. I started off on guitar, and then I heard James Hetfield sing and play guitar like he does, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to sing for a band. So I've done it for over 15 years with different bands throughout the years. I always have a ton of fun just being an instrumentalist. I play guitar in a couple other bands. I play bass in a couple bands. Personally, at home, I play piano and drums. I pick up as many instruments as possible. Some days I want to try different things. So, it's a whole lot of fun for me. But if it's a project that I've got my heart into, I usually want to sing. I want to be involved in the lyric writing process. That's usually my main steady. And luckily, I've been graced with countertenor range, which allows me to get up in some of those high ranges, like some of the best before me, Chris Cornell and Robert Plant and all that stuff. So I've been blessed with that, and I will never say I'm as good as those guys because they're my heroes. But most people want me to sing, and I have a lot of passion for it, so it definitely works.
Metallica's the band that saved my life, and I want to have a yeah off with James Hetfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I grew up, my parents were young, so I was listening to Prince. I was listening to all the pop music that involved guitar playing, and I was super grateful for it. Of course, classic rock was always played by my family and stuff like that. But I never knew that I loved music as much until my mom asked me to listen to Be Unforgiven, and to be able to hear the verses kick it like they do with the rock and the metal, and then the chorus is laid back, and hearing him sing like an angel, I was just like, wow, that's a good like trade-off there. He's able to do both of that. I want to be able to do that as well. So not quite got his growl yet, but there's a couple points on the record that I got pretty close and I feel pretty proud about. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know you're close to these. I know it must change every time that you guys listen to it or talk about it. But do you have any that stand out for you possibly as of right now?
One of the tracks that's been kind of getting a lot of push live is our song called When. It's gonna be, people are gonna go through this record and they're gonna hear some of the classic rock stuff. They're gonna hear some of the harder rock stuff, and this song here is gonna show up later on in the album. But when it starts off, it's a very, very guitar solo bluesy thing that kicks into almost like a Since I've Been Loving You type feel that when we listen to it, we go, I can't believe we wrote something like this. I can't believe we have something that's this bluesy and laid back. When our single is Break Your Chains, our old EP had Fire on it, which was another rockin' tune. So for us, that's still the one that kind of goes, I can't believe that we would have done this, and kind of turns the head when you listen to it on the record.
Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs which one would be the first single, or let alone a video you guys wanted to push or release first for the album? Or did you have to have outside help to decide on this, or was it hands down Break Your Chains?
It was definitely up for decision. It's a big task to decide between 15 songs what the first one's going to be. But actually, when Rob joined the band, when Rob on drums, he joined a couple years ago. He went, wow, Break Your Chains, that's my favorite. So we would always, work on it. We kind of picked it up quick. We have a couple of other things. We've got a couple of singles that are bouncing around New England radio here through some of our local players, and a couple of other songs that are up there that we want to get out there that are just rocking tunes. But Break Your Chains, we always seem to come back to that and kind of make it our anthem for the next record. As much as we have some more, laid back stuff on the record, this is we kind of want to come out with a punch and make sure that everyone knows we're a hard rock band. But I think it balances pretty well because it's not too aggressive. It's a nice little groovier piece that you can kind of pop around to. So it just seemed like the perfect amount. But I think all internally we decided that it was going to be for the best to start a push with that. I mean, it's out the gate, pretty heavy. So as long as everyone knows that's what we're mostly about, they'll certainly feel it with that single. So
what do you hope everyone takes away from, or message you hope they hear while listening to any of Renegade Cartel's music in general? What do you hope they get from it?
We hope they feel the heart and the passion, not only what we put in, but we also want people to be able to identify with it. We've got these songs here that are about, not taking bullshit from anybody, just kind of, in a sense, just letting loose and losing control and just living that rock and roll feel. Today we're so concerned about making sure that everyone's pleased. We're going to write a song that everyone's going to like, and then the pop industry has to be super prominent because that's all that's out and this and that. And we're just here to rock, and we want people to be able to let loose, do that with us. Lyrically, for myself, I have a ton of stuff that hits on maybe depression that I've had, family issues and stuff like that I've gone through, personal things that I'm sure everybody can identify with. So when you got a shitty day, You know, even if it's just raining outside and you want something that's a little more, you know, in tune with your feelings. We want people to be able to channel that. And, you know, with our music, we don't have any frills. There's no special reason or IQ level that you have to listen. We just want people to vibe with us and rock and roll.
Who did the artwork or cover photo for the album?
So the main cover was taken in Arizona by Vic's brother, the guitar player's brother. He we kind of knew we wanted a desolate look. For us out here in Boston, it's a very big push for you know, innovative music and cover bands and tribute bands. So we kind of thought we were alienated because we don't do that. We refuse to play covers as of right now. In a sense, we want our stuff to be pushed as much as possible. And I know it's unwise because a cover can get you in the door and get people to listen to you and all that. But we have so much to say that we always felt alienated that everyone wanted us to play covers. So I had taken that image and compiled it with other elements. The sugar skull etched in the sand is our logo. We don't have a name for the mascot. Maybe we can get our friends and family to help us with that. But then we wanted to depict, you know, small children in a desolate world, kind of see a stamp in front of them as being hopeful, you know. And, you know, there are a ton of, you know, there's a big landscape in front of them to cover in order for them to get across what they need to do. But if you pick up the physical copy, on the back side of that same album, we have a lush green environment at night with signs of life. So, you know, there's definitely a sign of hope that someone's getting across there. And it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a task. You know, the process of being not famous but successful musician, a successful band, is a big, long task and an arduous journey. So we compiled that. I ended up doing a lot of the editing, a lot of the production design between the band, the three members here. And that's a little piece that we came up with. Dear World, we're still out here. We're still fighting to get across that desert, but we will continue on.
Do you see this band still musically growing from where it started, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you guys involved in Renegade Cartel?
Renegade Cartel will continue on for as long as we can play music. Being the youngest guy, you know, I gotta try to get these guys to get to that level where they can all quit their day jobs before they have to retire. Not that I like to pick on their age, but I think that we'll forever grow. You know, we've grown so much recording this record, playing these songs live. You know, we've already started with the hype. So, you know, as a three-piece, it's a little bit different live as it is on the record. So you'll have a different experience both ways. But, I mean, the tunes we're coming up with for whatever the next release is, be it a single or an EP or album, the next batch of songs we're coming up with are almost a departure from the whole record. I mean, we've got things that touch upon it, but we're getting to the point where we're experimenting with different ideas and seeing what will stick to, you know, make a song cohesively that's a little bit different. It doesn't steer too far from the core values, but I think we're forever going to be growing and trying different things. You know, when your favorite band releases a record that's such a departure from the last one, sometimes you get a bit bummed out. You know, I'll use Metallica as an example. I think every time they try something new, it's always a backfire for them. But you know, like I said, this is about us and our heart and passion. So we're just putting out what we can, what we want, and playing it for anybody who will listen. And hopefully, we'll have some family and friends to come along with us on the journey.
In your own opinion, what does Renegade Cartel bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, if anything? I know no one's reinventing the wheel, but what are you guys bringing to that wheel, or adding to it, I should say? Yeah,
we're definitely not trying to become the new 2020 sound, but you know, a lot of our past influences are still wanted. You know, we can use the example of Greta Van Fleet. You know, how many times in the history have we heard bands sound too much like Led Zeppelin? You know, Kingdom Come, Wolf Mother, you know, oh, that's great, but they sound too much like Led Zeppelin. And then you've got this argument with Greta Van Fleet and what they do. And, you know, let's just put all that to the side, whether they do or they don't. You know, not to say who they sound like, But the fact is that there's a popular rock group in music right now. So, I've talked about this with many of my friends here. There is a rock group that's garnering attention, that's in headlines. And for rock and roll today in the United States, that's a huge thing. I went to go see Stephen Wilson recently from Porcupine Tree, and he goes, how in the birth country of rock and roll are there no rock and roll, people in your top hits or whatever? And it's so true. It's like rock and roll is also an underground thing. So when we go and we write these new songs that may have a lot of influence from the past stuff, it may not be, like I said, the revolutionary thing that everyone's looking for, but I think that people want it. I think people are hungry for it, for new tune that they can kind of rock to, and that's why they accept it in their fleet. That's why they accept, all these new bands that end up doing really well. As long as they're tight, create a good song, it's wanted. I mean, the first time Greta Van Fleet had released a single that I heard that I actually knew about them, man, I heard 3 cover bands that weekend, and 2 of them were at the same show. So there's definitely a hunger for older style rock and roll, but packaged in a new form with guys that have that influence. So we're gunning for it. It's not going to be your brand new, fresh sound of music like maybe like indie rock was 10 years ago or whatever. But heck, if the guys that have been doing it for so long can still keep it going, why can't we come up with something new and keep the rock going?
What can fans expect at a show from Renegade Cartel who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get when they come to see you live?
So right now, Renegade Cartel is a 3-piece. We're what we call a power trio. And as opposed to the record, you're going to get a little less of the production side and a little more of the passion side. We've created a sound that does not leave any holes sonically. You go see a band and the bass will be too quiet and you'll feel like something's missing, which I've had extensive conversations with Doug Pinnick from King's X about, don't turn the bass down because you need it. So that's been my little inspiration as a bass player. But we've created our tone and our drive, knowing that we're a 3-piece and that the energy has to be high. So it's always good for anybody who, likes to have a little bit of a difference in the show. You put the record on, you hear how it all comes together, but I feel like you go to the show and it's the same footprint and the same sound as the record. You might as well just sit in your house and put it on your speakers. So, we definitely give a lot more passion and a wider sound, maybe a little bit heavier of a sound, as far as the wall goes. But I think that's going to be the main thing is that difference in production. And like I said, hopefully nobody thinks it's a lack of production because we've tried pretty hard to make sure it all fits.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Renegade Cartel gets support from so far, or your music gets played in that location right now?
Oh, man. With Tag been pushing, and then we've had some success in other places so far, even before with the EP. No, to be honest with you, rock and roll is still pretty prevalent in a ton of other countries. Like I said, it's kind of hurting. It's kind of underground here. But there's a ton of places that still love it as one of the main styles. I mean, it's always cool to see, the UK will throw up an interview that I've done, and I go, oh, I didn't realize that was a UK interview, or all the English-speaking stuff like Australia. We've had a really good press stuff in Australia with the radio station we were working with out of there. So, I think that I'm excited for other countries to get on board. I know hard rock is still pretty strong in South America. Of course, we're a Renegade Cartel, so we should probably be careful if we get on to South America. But as long as we stay out of trouble, I think that would be cool. And I'm a big fan of Japan. I have an extensive background in performing with other acts in Japan. And I'm waiting for that to pick up. I have a couple of buddies up there that lived in Boston for a while that are trying to push for us. So we're excited to get the word out throughout the world. And I'm super stoked to interact with everybody. I'm pretty responsive when we get a French interview. I try to merci beaucoup as best as I can, and that's kind of a big fun thing for us. We want to get out there through the world. So there'll be some shocks when it finally happens, but we'll mostly be excited.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up Renegade Cartel's new album that's coming out October 31st, Halloween. You want to get out and pick up this album and support this band. Stephen, how can folks stay in touch with you guys and buy some merchandise, this album, and plus tour dates, things like that when all this happens? How can they do that, good sir?
So you can visit renegadecartel.com. It's got links to all of our social media. So if you're a Facebooker and Instagram, you can follow us on there. We're pretty responsive to all forms of messaging. We have renegadecartelband@gmail.com. If you want to shoot us an email, pick your favorite social media, come find us. We have everything come up on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, Bandcamp. We've got a ton of stuff. And I think Bandcamp is going to be our best way to get physical merch and media as far as going forward. So that'll all be up and ready on the 31st, and we can always make something happen if you're a fan like myself of physical media.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Of course. This is Stephen, vocalist from Renegade Cartel. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. And subscribe to our YouTube link, because anything and everything that we do on BODS Mayhem Hour is going up on our YouTube page and plus the podcast link. Also, get out and check out Renegade Cartel. Pick up their debut album, Dear World, October 31st, Halloween night. Samhain. Get out and check it out and support this band. And as always, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, Stephen, and hope this all works out for you guys for sure.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.